Hey there, Scorpio. Welcome to your reading for the week. This is for mid-September 2025. We're going to jump right in here. You have this gate card. It says opportunities and home. You have this moon card. It says cycles and change on it. Yeah, I mean, definitely we are in a time of change and cycles and ending cycles, starting new ones. So, everybody is pretty much working on this at this time. And I think it'll be a good thing for you. It's no surprise that you have the Emperor here, by the way. We have, Mars will be entering into your sign on the 22nd, the day after the eclipse. And so that's actually going to be pretty good for you, Scorpio. I do feel it could make you, very busy. And so some of you could be, just kind of increasing in energy, feeling more energetic, feeling more busy, feeling like you have more to do, all that other stuff. And sure, we'll take both cards. Why not? And it'll also increase your vitality as well. So we are in a great time of health, especially with that eclipse that's happening in Virgo. And with Mars entering into your sign, it's a great time to stay healthy. So I would make sure to do that. Again, you start here in your, we're doing a Celtic cross, and the first card is how you are entering into the reading. Emperor energy, which is great, especially because, the Emperor is Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars. So yes, I understand that you are not an Aries, but you absolutely could be embracing more of that Mars, action energy this month and, for the rest of the month and into next month as well. This is going to be really good for you. Like I said, I feel that it's going to be helpful. I feel it's going to help you kind of get to work, get down to business, all those things. And I also feel it's going to help you be ready for any opportunities that come your way. It's kind of funny. We don't really see any cards of opportunity necessarily in this reading. Now, again, of course, opportunities are always available to us, right? But I feel that, maybe when we clarify, we will probably get some cards of opportunity. I would love to see, any aces or, anything like that. But I would be thinking about, getting ready to take advantage of any opportunities, especially if you're looking to change here, Scorpio, which it kind of looks like you are because you have that cycles and change card. Then you have the Nine of Swords. And the Nine of Swords, of course, is my card of Groundhog's Day. It's just the same day over and over and over again and trying to escape the nightmare. And again, the good news is it looks like maybe that's what you're doing. You have the Eight of Swords as your crossing energy. Crossing energy can be what hurts you or helps you in a Celtic cross. I kind of feel both for you here. It's the Eight of Swords can represent only seeing one solution to a problem when there are many. And so that, obviously that could hurt you, but I also feel that this could be helping you because it's saying, hey, there are many other solutions to wherever you are feeling stuck. Also, right next to it, we have the Judgment card, which is great because the Judgment card is kind of like a wake-up call. The Judgment card can definitely get us unstuck, and we'll talk about that in a second. She also has this blindfold on. Blindfolds in the tarot come up when we need to trust our intuition more. I don't always say this, only, when I feel it, and I would say that I am feeling it in your reading, that it would be a good time for you to, tap into your intuition more. Make sure that you're using your intuition more. You have the Nine of Swords in the area of what's on your mind. I don't feel bad about this, actually, Scorpio. The Nine of Swords is not a great card. I actually consider it to be the worst card in the tarot because he's stuck, but he's, the problem with the card is he's not doing anything about it. The good news is that it's coming up in the area of what's on your mind or the area of your thoughts in the Celtic cross. So I feel a lot of you are kind of more open to solutions. It's you're more open to, kind of doing things to break free from this. And I also feel you are, it's you could be looking at a problem, but in a good way. You could be looking at something that's been keeping you stuck and you're doing something to get out of it. And like I said, I feel obviously that would be a good thing. The Nine of Swords also really benefits from Emperor energy. The Nine of Swords says we can be the bug or the windshield. There's a person right here who's getting hit by another person with a sword. And the card, what this represents is you can be the one getting hit or you can be the one doing the hitting, basically. And of course, don't hit anyone. That's not what we're saying. But what we're saying is you can be the one to take action to change your situation or not. And I feel you are, based off of the, the rest of the cards that are coming up here. You have the Knight of Wands. Yeah, I think all fixed signs could benefit from Knight of Wands energy. Knight of Wands is about being spontaneous, kind of like finding other ways of doing things. He's willing to just accept any random spontaneous opportunities that pop into his life, and he's not too fixed. So I feel that embracing that adventurous spirit of the Knight of Wands would be very beneficial for you, Scorpio, at this time. I also I feel like this is coming up in the area of your foundation, which is very good. It basically would say that you are being more adventurous at this time, or it would say that at least your energy is more open to being adventurous, and that's exactly what the reading needs. So again, I feel pretty good about this in general. Next, in the area of your past, this is the energy you're moving past. You have this time machine card and this exposed and revealed card. The time machine card is kind of like about wishing that you could go back to the past. And the exposed and revealed card is kind of like a card of something being exposed, obviously. I feel like you are seeing what needs to change in your life. I also feel you are letting go of the past. Now, again, I do feel this is like a very fixed sign type of energy right now. We're next month, actually in November, on November 7th, Uranus will retrograde back into Taurus. And I do feel for the fixed signs that, the themes of freedom are going to pop back into your life. Or setting yourself free from anything that's been restrictive or holding you back or preventing you from escaping Groundhog's Day. Those things are going to pop back up, but not in a bad way. We're talking about in a way where you will be able to change it, or in a way where you have the opportunity to change those situations at least. And, again, something I would pay attention to. You have the Two of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles work hard, play hard, and so I would make sure to balance your energy, but what I really feel for you, Scorpio, is that sometimes I feel like we have these waves that start small over here and get bigger as they go across the card. Sometimes I feel the Two of Pentacles is trying to get us to pay attention to something that's getting harder to ignore. And, if there's anything that's popping up into your consciousness, or if there are any, thoughts that you're having about basically anything in life, I would be paying attention with this energy, especially if something keeps popping up into your attention, like if you keep seeing the same opportunity over and over and over again, or, if you keep thinking about, starting the same project over and over and over again, then this could be a clue that whatever that thing is could be very successful for you. And that is definitely popping into my head with the Two of Pentacles. Next, in the area of your very near future, you have this misfortune card and this gift card. You could be seeing a blessing in disguise, for sure. I think that Scorpios have had some challenges. You always get the Tower with me, and, knock on wood, we don't have it in this reading, right? And hopefully that doesn't change. But I do feel some of you could be getting, seeing the blessing in past misfortunes, because we have the Judgment card here, which we'll talk about in a second. But I definitely feel it's like a blessing in disguise energy with these two cards coming up together. Again, you have the Judgment card. It's like you're finally being set free here, Scorpio. Like I said, with that Nine of Swords, These people are standing in these coffins. The coffin is their old life. Outside the coffin is their new life. They're being called to step into a new life, or into their new life. So it's almost like you're finally releasing some misfortunes that you have been experiencing. And obviously that's a good thing. The Judgment card also wants us to listen. And again, I pretty much everyone for these mid-monthly readings so far has had these cards that are like, listen, to your intuition, listen to your higher self. So we are clearly in a very intuitive time where we need to listen to our higher self, or listen to the messages we're receiving from our guides, ancestors, whatever you want to call it. And so I would definitely be paying attention to that. I also feel that you are ready. That's kind of a lame message. I get it, Scorpio, but it's like I feel the universe can bring you something now that you've been asking for because you're finally ready. I don't know. I never pay attention to this, but these people, their arms are like wide open. They're like receiving something, or they're finally ready to receive. It's almost like you have, it's almost like the universe is saying to you, that you have finally, met the requirements, or you finally have learned what you needed to learn to be able to manifest something or have something that you've wanted. And that's really the feeling I get on the Judgment card. Next, in your outcome row, you have this Being Chased card. It says anxiety, avoidance, perceived threat, You have this jealousy card that says relationship radar, insecurity, and envy. So obviously I would be careful of, anyone who's chasing you. I do think that could be a little bit of a warning sign for those of you that are like getting into relationships. If a person if it seems like they are more chasing, that might be something to look out for. I actually also feel like some of you could be healing this for some reason. I don't know what's popping into my head. If you're in a connection where, maybe there have been issues with like anxiety or, what do you call that? I don't know what the, the attachment style, right? That's what I'm looking for is, maybe there's maybe one of you is anxious. You could be kind of like working through that. So I don't feel all bad about this, but something to think about. Next, in the area of your next few months, you have the Two of Wands. I feel interesting here. Two of Wands sometimes I feel is when, we do something where we kind of surprise ourselves and then we think, what else can I do? And I don't know, I kind of get that type of curiosity on this card, Scorpio, where, I'm not trying to be clickbaity or anything here, but, it's where you could be doing something that surprises yourself a little bit. Maybe you're kind of like accomplishing something or, exceeding your expectations a little bit. And because of that, you could be saying to yourself, what else am I capable of doing? So, it's almost like confidence building, right? Maybe that's the energy that I'm trying to spit out here with this Two of Wands. And that is definitely an energy I would nurture if I were you, especially with that Emperor, especially with Mars in your sign. Mars wants you to, be bold, take action, all that other stuff. So I would say that, if you are surprising yourself a little bit, like keep following that energy with the Two of Wands. Two of Wands wants us to leave a comfort zone as well. And, I think all fixed signs are being required to leave comfort zones for many years. You have been, and this energy will continue for a little while longer. So anything you can do to, challenge yourself, put yourself out there in a bigger way, take bigger risks, get more attention, stand out, take the lead. I literally said to Pisces that I felt like all 3 water signs would get these messages, and I wasn't wrong about taking the lead. I feel it is time for water signs to take the lead. It's, I've said this to you before, Scorpio, that it is time for water signs to like show the world how to live better, and that could mean anything. And you don't have to tell anyone what to do either. That's the other thing. All you have to do is be a living example. All water signs, I believe, are being asked to be an example. They're being asked to do things that make them, get positive attention and, all that other stuff. Next, in the area of your closest relationships, you have the Six of Cups and the Page of Swords. Definitely could be a person who has their eye on you. Page of Swords can be a spy, but doesn't have to be. It could just be like an admirer, a person who has recently become aware of you, Scorpio, or maybe this is you. The Six of Cups is like, some people read this as a card from the past. I do not. It's a card of innocence and nostalgia. It can represent thinking about the past, but it doesn't necessarily mean that someone is coming back from the past. Like I said, with that card that says like insecurity and then the other card says anxiety, avoidance, I would definitely pay attention to any warning signs that come up, although I feel pretty good about this. Again, you might be meeting a person where it's not like that. And the other thing is that you could be, I feel just like taking your time more. It's more saying to me that maybe you have learned your lessons in love and now you're no longer doing those things, like being insecure or, being anxious about the connection. The other thing it could say is that if you are feeling anxious, that you're going to avoid that type of connection, which, obviously that's exactly what the reading is asking you to do. If someone makes you feel not good, then that's probably something to pay attention to here. This is also great for just spending time with people who matter to you. Six of Cups is those childlike, playful connections. We have a very serious energy between now and like 2033 with Uranus and Gemini. I always say we're in a time of chaos. I basically haven't been wrong. And, but again, that does not mean that we should be in chaos. What it means is that we have to be the ones as spiritual people to make things better, to get it to go the other direction, right? And so spending time with people who matter to you, having fun, all that other good stuff would be good. You have the Hierophant in the area of your future feelings. So again, if you are meeting a new person, definitely could be a person that you want to commit to, or you could feel like you want to commit to them. I've noticed a lot of Hierophant energy in this set of readings as well. The Hierophant is like the bridge between heaven on earth, or heaven and earth. He is able to communicate the messages he's receiving from heaven, and he's able to teach them to the two people in front of him. But again, we are definitely not in a time of teaching, right? I mean, we are, but not in the way that you think. You're not like sitting people down being like, this is how you should do things. You are just being an inspiration, right? Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto wants us to be, Pluto and Aquarius, one of the things it wants us to do is be an inspiration to the people that surround us. And so anything you can do to do that would be very positive. The other thing I would say with the Knight of Wands is that the Hierophant can represent a need to think outside the box. So, thinking outside the box, or, opening up to other ways of doing things, running experiments, trying new things, all that is very good with this card. You have the Three of Pentacles. Yeah, it's an amazing time for teamwork. Again, Pluto and Aquarius. Anything we can do to work with other people will just benefit us more. And so I would do whatever you can to work with other people, or, just working with other people in general could be very beneficial for you. I also feel it's time for you to put something on display in a bigger way. Again, I've been saying, I said this when Saturn entered into Aries. Saturn is retrograding into Pisces, but it's in Pisces right now, and Neptune is about to retrograde into Pisces next month. But with this, it's already entered into Aries. So I feel that water signs need to be louder. I think water signs need to speak up, share their ideas more, put their work on display. It's basically like the universe is saying, you say you can do things, so prove it. It's almost like a little bit of a challenge from the universe. And again, this is not a bad thing. I just feel the universe wants us to be leaders, like I said. And the only way to do that is to, put your work on display, like he has here, and to show off and to be loud. And if you're not getting attention on the things that you're working on or creating, then maybe you need to be louder. And again, we want to do this in a positive way. We want to make sure that we're not, we can do this in a positive way is what I'm trying to say. We don't have to, do any crazy stunts or anything like that, but, we can definitely do things to stand out. And I do feel that Three of Pentacles is asking you to stand out. It's asking you to get more attention. One other thing I want to say before we move on is that this lady right here, she has these polka dots on her cloak. And polka dots in the tarot represent needing to not take things too seriously, needing to be more playful. But the word that's popping into my head here is authenticity. So, I do feel there is something about the more authentic you can be, the more likely it is that you will stand out. With the Emperor and the Eight of Swords, you have the Three of Cups. Yeah, if you are feeling stuck, other people, might have answers for you. So don't be afraid of getting help or anything like that. I do feel the reading itself is encouraging, socializing and, having fun. Six of Cups, right? Six of Cups is childlike energy. So it wants us to have fun, to enjoy ourselves, to do things that we love. And that's what I would do with that card. Let's see. With the Nine of Swords, you have the Five of Cups. See, I feel like you're afraid that something is going to be a disappointment, but, I feel like you need to realize that it's not. We go down Judgment to the Two of Wands, right? And so it's almost like some of you are... Didn't I say this to you recently? I'm pretty sure it was you. It's almost like you're trying something again, Scorpio, but not like the same thing. I feel like you could be, revisiting an old idea or an old business idea or a project you wanted to work on. And again, if I said this to you recently, then it's definitely true that, I feel you should, let go of the fears around it because you're going to be successful this time is what I feel like saying. And, he's grieving the loss of something he no longer enjoys. But if he's just grateful for what he has, he gets these two cups, but also this bridge and this castle. So I think you need to realize that things are going to go better than you think. With the Knight of Wands, you have the Two of Pentacles again. Yes, I feel Mars in your sign, right? For sure. Mars in your sign is going to be good, but some astrologers would say that having Mars in your sign, that you should be careful of accidents. You should be careful of lifting things over your head, for example, if you're pulling a box down from a high shelf or something. If you're lifting something up, you should be careful of your back and things like that, right? So the Two of Pentacles doesn't say worry; it just says balance. Make sure you're balancing the two things out. If you're working out, if you're, if you're being very active this month, make sure you're getting plenty of rest and, all that other stuff. That's what I would do here. Now, sometimes I feel that the Two of Pentacles is a clue card. I have some cards in the tarot that I call clue cards. And the Two of Pentacles to me can be a clue for a settlement. And if you are waiting for a settlement, it is popping into my head that you could be getting a settlement, like, financial settlement or like an insurance payout if you're waiting for that sort of thing. With the Two of Pentacles, you have the Queen of Wands. I do feel pretty good about this. I feel like Scorpio is used to having to fight for things maybe. And, it's almost like the Queen of Wands showing up in the past is saying that you're no longer having to fight. It's not such a battle, It's like I don't think anything in life is meant to be easy, but I also think it can be very annoying if we are like having to grind our face off to be able to be successful, right? And so I feel that maybe things are balancing out, as in, the amount of effort that you have to give a project, or, the amount of effort you have to put into a relationship. It's like not such a battle any longer. And that's kind of the message I'm getting there, which is good. With the Judgment card, you have the King of Swords. You literally could be receiving a judgment with the Two of Pentacles. We talked about a settlement. King of Swords can be like law and order, or, receiving justice. So I do feel like some of you could be receiving justice in something. The King of Swords is also a card of knowledge and wisdom. And, I feel that a lot of you have learned a lot of lessons, or it's like you've gained a lot of knowledge and wisdom that could be making you very successful at this time. But it's like you're finally using it. I also feel like saying that this was worth it. Maybe it might not seem like it was worth it, all the battles you've been through and everything. But I do feel the King of Swords sometimes says that something we've been through is totally worth it. But we learn that now. Well, you are learning it now. So that's good. It's almost like a gift. You have this card that says gift right here. And the misfortune thing, right? It's almost like that is the blessing in disguise that you are finally receiving, is that it's all the battles have been worth it. With the Two of Wands, you have the Ace of Wands. Ace of Wands is out with the old and with the new. Definitely some big changes over the next few months for you, Scorpio. On the Two of Wands, he has to leave that castle that he's standing on top of. He has to get out into the world. There is a castle that is crumbling in the background of the Ace of Wands. And Ace of Wands can say that you're letting go of one thing so that you can have something better, or you're moving towards, bigger and better inspirations. And I definitely feel that's true. With the Page of Swords, you have the Three of Pentacles. Yes, definitely teamwork this month. Anything you can do to get benefits from other people, I feel would be very beneficial for you, Scorpio. It seems to be, you have a lot of cards that say open up to people who can help you. Three of Cups, Three of Pentacles twice, Six of Cups. I think that would be good. There could be people who can also get you attention or help you get more attention. So I think collaborating, working together with others would be great. With the Hierophant, you have the Three of Wands. Yeah, it's time to expand. I think it's time for water signs to, especially you, Scorpio, to take up more space with your ideas. Meaning you have to put them out into the world. You have to show off. You have to get attention, and everything we talked about with that Three of Pentacles. You have so many threes. And you have Three of Pentacles twice, Three of Cups, and the Three of Wands in this reading. So, definitely time for you to take up space. Now, the thing about the Three of Wands is he has to get on those boats, and he has to go somewhere he's never been before. And so, I feel stepping into the unknown, doing things you've never done before would be very beneficial. Here you go. With the Three of Pentacles, you start and you end with the Emperor. I'm telling you right now, definitely, this is absolutely talking about the Mars energy in your sign. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Again, Mars in your sign is usually considered to be positive. It is life force. It gives you more energy. So I would take advantage of it for sure. You have this Axe card. It says forces working against you. I feel all water signs are probably going to feel this around the 21st. Today is the 12th. So this video will be published on the 13th. There's something about that Virgo eclipse that could, I think it could maybe expose hidden enemies. It could make people realize that there are people who don't have their best interest at heart and things like that. We don't have to worry about this. It's being exposed. You have that exposed and revealed card, right? So it's being exposed, but it's definitely something that says, like, if you realize the person doesn't have your best interest, then maybe it's time to not spend time with that person, right? And that's what I would do there. You have this Inkpot card that says problems to be resolved. This card always makes me want to tell people to pay attention to the small details, like the little things, the fine print. So if you're signing anything important, if you're, working on any projects or whatever, make sure to pay attention to the small things. You have this chair filled. It says someone new is entering your life. Yeah, we don't really see any love, except you do have the Page of Swords, here in the area of your closest relationships. So, there could be like a new admirer entering into your life. Again, I think love is always available to us, but I just think sometimes readings, I think, don't talk about it because maybe it's just not the main thing that you're focusing on this month, but it is, showing up here. So there you go. You have this funnel card that says period of frustration, lessons to be learned. I always say that I call this card life. It's like in life, that's how life works usually. It's like we're going through a funnel. We kind of work in one direction, then we bounce off the wall and we go in another direction. Hopefully, over time, we get more specific in life and we figure out like what our purpose is or what we're supposed to be doing. So, and I feel like you are. You have this dog card that says protection from a powerful friend. Yes, definitely. We see a lot of stuff here about friends, people who can help you, all that other stuff, Scorpio. But pretty straightforward stuff here. I like it. So thank you for being here and definitely enjoy your month.